The safety of elevators is paramount to everyone at Adams Elevator Equipment Company. With that in mind, we are pleased to introduce a product that dramatically increases passenger safety by eliminating the hazard associated with a possible uncontrolled downward motion of the elevator. The Lifejacket monitoring system detects uncontrolled downward movement of the elevator resulting from cylinder failure, valve failure, or a break in the hydraulic line. The safety shoes close around the hydraulic piston and bring the elevator to a gradual and controlled stop. The following video instructions are provided as a recommended means of installing the Lifejacket safety. The first thing we'll do is install the encoder. The encoder must be mounted at the top of the hatch. Locate the quadrant of the hatch that has clearance for the encoder and the cable. Mount the encoder assembly to the rail. It should be mounted high enough to allow clearance between it and the car when the car is against the stop ring. Next, install the mounting eyelet to the car top. Using the clamps provided, attach the cable to the eyelet and run the cable over the sheave. Drop the remaining cable into the pit. Next, mount the bracket and idler assembly on the rail in line with the upper sheave. Mount an eyelet to the bolster channel or to any car structure providing the least amount of runout. Then, attach the spring to the eyelet hole. Run the cable around the idler sheave and up to the spring. Using the clamps, pull so that you have 1 inch of spring extension or about 10 pounds of force and tighten. The encoder is now installed and we're ready to mount the Lifejacket controller. We'll begin the next step by first locating a position to mount the Lifejacket control box. The box should be mounted in the machine room as close to the elevator controller as possible so that it can be accessed while running the car. Next, run 13 wires from the elevator controller to the Lifejacket controller. These wires will be used to provide power to the Lifejacket controller, signal it with the motion controller's desired direction, and open the elevator's safety circuit in the event of the Lifejacket's activation. To provide direction information to the Lifejacket controller, wires are run from the hydraulic valve's solenoid coils. The Lifejacket controller will accept any coil voltage up to 240 volt AC. Connect 2 wires to any elevator controller fed and fused 120 volt AC power source. Next, connect 1 wire to a good, clean controller ground. When the onboard annunciator shown here beeps, contacts close. The annunciator is triggered when there is a fault such as an overspeed or if the backup battery is going bad or missing. If the 120 volts AC is lost and the battery is missing, the Lifejacket will set. In other words, you cannot leave an elevator in service without the battery. These remote annunciator wires are inserted into the WAGO-type connectors supplied on the Lifejacket circuit board. Now, install conductors from the encoder to the Lifejacket controller. After routing the cable from the encoder to the Lifejacket controller, connect the wires to the WAGO-type connectors on the Lifejacket circuit board. Connect the ground wire from the elevator controller to a good clean ground in the Lifejacket controller. Now, we're ready to proceed to the next step, mounting the Lifejacket support stand. Mark the location of the platen to assure correct alignment when reattaching the piston to the car. Drop the plunger so that 6 inches remain above the top of the cylinder. This will help to align the Lifejacket assembly for mounting. Now we're ready to assemble the Lifejacket support stand legs. Bolt the lower cups to the square tubes and set them onto the pit footer channel as close to center as possible. Next, place the cups on top of the legs and visually confirm that the bottom of the Lifejacket base plate will not touch the top of the jack assembly. Now we're ready to bring the Lifejacket into the pit and position the Lifejacket assembly over the legs and into the upper cups. Next, disassemble the Lifejacket's hydraulic valves from the control cylinder. Loosen the swivel fitting that connects the 2 valves to the control cylinder. With the control valves already removed from the control cylinder, screw the control cylinder into the 1-inch tapped hole in the base plate. If the cylinder has an existing live pressure port, we will now install the new fitting for attaching the tubing. With plenty of rags on hand, carefully remove the plug in the elevator cylinder. It is important to note that removing this plug or drilling a hole breaches the elevator's cylinder, and if the elevator is not adequately supported, it might move down. Install the fitting for the tubing into the existing hole or the one that you just drilled and tapped. Install the valve assembly to the control cylinder using the swivel fitting. Now, connect the other end of the tubing to the control valve, and once the system has been repressurized, check it for leaks. You should be able to see the control cylinder rod extend when the pressure in the system exceeds approximately 75 pounds. Now the registration bit must be installed into both routed holes in the arms and onto the top of the rod, and the jam nut must be tightened. First, insert the registration bit into one of the routed holes. Lower the arms and engage it into the other routed hole. Adjust the lower nut to provide running clearance between the copper shoes and the plunger. The arms of the life jacket will open as the control cylinder is pressurized. We are now ready to center the life jacket. Reattach the platen to the car. Run the car on inspection to repressurize the system. Until the tubing and control valves are installed in the elevator system, the life jacket arms will not open by themselves. Once the plunger is reattached to the car, run the car up to clear, but do not remove the timbers or pipe stands from the pit. At this point, the arms on the life jacket need to be in the down or set position. Run the car down and set the life jacket in order to get the arms to go flat. This will center the life jacket on the plunger. We are now ready to begin the permanent mounting procedure. Drill the square tubes for the two holes of the side ankle mounting brackets, or anchor the feet to the floor. With the life jacket mounted to the footer or floor, tighten all of the stand bolts. Connect the flex or liquid tight from the valves and the SO cord with the compression fitting to the 4-square box. Now we're ready to finish wiring the life jacket controller. Run 10 18-gauge wires from the 4-square box to the life jacket controller. The SO cord, which extends down through the safety arm, is for the safety switch. The switch is mounted on one side of the life jacket arms and must be connected in series with the safety circuit. The other end of the cord goes to the 4-square junction box. This switch will also be paralleled by a momentary switch in the life jacket controller. Connect the wires to the appropriate connector in the life jacket controller, 2 to each of the control valve coils and 1 to ground. As before, wire to the WAGO-type connectors using the plastic WAGO insertion tool. Connect 2 wires to the safety switch cutout. Locate the 120-volt AC feed from the elevator controller. Using the crimp connectors provided in the life jacket controller, run the wires and connect them to the transformer taps. Verify all the wiring by checking the wire number to the terminal marking. Then, turn on the power. Once power is applied to the life jacket controller, a green LED will illuminate on the control board to verify that the power is on and the CPU is operating. You will also hear a beeping sound from the annunciator. Run the car up. If the life jacket's controller board registers a direction error, as indicated by continuous beeping and the illumination of the direction error LED, it will be necessary to move the encoder rotation jumper. After the car runs up, run the car down to check running clearance between the copper shoes and the plunger. The life jacket is now mounted and the centering is complete. We're ready to adjust the life jacket. Run the car up in preparation to run it down full speed. Manually set the life jacket with the empty car running down full speed. Confirm that the arms on the life jacket lower. If the car stops successfully, add 1,000 pounds to the car and repeat the test. If the car does not stop, reset the life jacket controller and run the car up until the life jacket opens. Shims, cut to proper length and punched to fit under the copper shoe mounting screws, are provided in 5,000th thicknesses with the life jacket assembly. These custom-made shims must be added and the car retested until it stops successfully. If the car does not stop, Repeat this process until the life jacket successfully stops a fully loaded car. With the mechanical adjustments complete, the only electrical adjustment is to get the unit to trip at 125% of full load down rated speed. As an example, if the car's rated full load down speed is 100 feet per minute, multiplying by 1.25 will give you a value of 125 feet per minute. The dip switches on the life jacket control board will need to be set for 125 feet per minute. Flip to the on position those switches whose combined value equals 125. This will signal the controller to activate the life jacket at the speed of 125 feet per minute in the down direction. With the life jacket successfully installed and the adjustments completed, the final step is testing the computer program. The life jacket will set and the car will stop with 2 inches of slide or less when the car down speed exceeds 30 feet per minute without down coil voltage. The car down speed exceeds 125% of the rated down speed. The down coil voltage is present, but no encoder output is present for an accumulated 4-second period. The battery is unchargeable or missing, or the battery and 120-volt AC is missing. With this in mind, perform the steps outlined in the installation manual to test the life jacket. Follow recommended procedures to rectify any problems.